Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at this week's pre-orders, and they are live. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Alright, so we got this week's pre-orders up here, and one more thing. Obviously, I have plenty of qualms with Games Workshop's new website, and it seems like they're slowly but surely working out some of the bugs. But for every one they fix, it seems like I discover a couple more. One of the things in particular that I don't like about how everything is laid out now is now that they have gone to the 2-week pre-order period, there's no way to really differentiate between like the previous week's releases and then this week's pre-releases. So it just kind of all gets jumbled together, which normally wouldn't be that big of an issue, except for there was like 50 things last week. So you see this week on the pre-orders, there are 67 total things, but the majority of those are from last week. So I have to kind of like poke and prod through them. But that being said, we do see Games Workshop obviously still working on this website. They spent tens of millions of dollars building it. So I'm assuming they're going to spend some more millions of dollars trying to fix it. But it is kind of comical that the old website actually was pretty freaking good and I never had any issues with it. And the new one is just the hot mess express. So that being said, we've got our first couple like special order items here. So we have the online only Codex Adeptus Mechanicus, and this is the collector's edition, $100 for that. Really nice cover art. Definitely a huge fan. Obviously the contents inside are the same, but we see this one has like the red gilt edges, little bookmark built in. I had mentioned it before, but I definitely give them props for not having the same cover on here. We'll see with like a lot of the previous like special editions, it was still the exact same cover art. It was just like slightly different border or something like that. And I think you should 100% differentiate your special limited edition items with different art. So got to give it to Games Workshop on that one. All right, and the next same thing, we have the Necron Codex as well. $100 for the special edition Codex. And again, really nice looking cover art right here. Definitely like the layout and everything of this. Beautifully done. We have the green edges on this. Just really nice overall. Definitely a big fan of the small little changes they've made to the limited edition Codexes. All right, so just scrolling down here, we see a bunch of the Legion Imperialis stuff right here. Also, just want to mention as well that the pictures for some of the Legion Imperialis stuff do not accurately represent what you'll be purchasing. So for instance, someone had pointed out, and then I also noticed when I did a little bit of extra digging myself, the Legion Imperialis Cerastus Knight Lancer shows obviously one in the picture, $35. But when you actually click on the thing, you get in here, and the next picture is 2 Cerastus Knights, which if that's what you're getting in the box set, you'd think is the picture that they would use. And then again, if we scroll down here, we see on the actual box itself, epic scale ×2. So again, in my opinion, just not the best way to represent your item. It's very important to accurately represent what exactly you're selling and what quantity comes in the set. All right, so moving right along here, we have the rest of the Necron and Adeptus Mechanicus stuff here. So we do see the datasheet cards for the Adeptus Mechanicus, $35 for those. We see the standard codexes for Mechanicus and Necrons, $60 a piece for those bad boys. And then we see the new Sydonian Skratos, aka the Mech Boy Stiltwalker or the Tall Boy. Lots of cool nicknames for this guy. I'm actually a fan of this. I don't hate it. I mean, I don't really play Ad Mech. I have some, but it's not like one of my main factions or anything. I do like the design of this. I like the idea of these cool like snipers that don't need to worry about like where they're going to get positioned at because they have their own stilts built in. Pretty cool overall. We did see the rules and they seem a little bit on the light side, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be actually good once we see like the full codex rules. But $38 for this bad boy, right in line with what we see for other characters. And again, another thing that I have complained about is when you hit back on the search page, it just takes you back to like the generic start page, and then you have to just scroll all the way back down to where you are. Anytime you're like creating extra work for your customers, I think you're less likely to get them to buy stuff, more likely to be frustrated or leave the page. Like for instance, I was looking at some Space Marine stuff the other day, and there was like 250 entries for Space Marines, and it only shows you like 30 or 40 at a time. So you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page and then just put like show more. And then like as you continue going on and continue clicking show more, there's no show all button, which would be ideal. So you continue hitting show more, show more, show more, show more. Next thing you know, you're like 5 clicks into this. You've been scrolling forever. You click on an item, and then when you go back, it just starts you all over again, which is just absolutely terrible because I found myself not clicking on things that I would otherwise click on to take a look at or potentially buy because I didn't want to have to go through the whole deal of like starting all the way back at the beginning, clicking show more, scrolling, clicking show more, scrolling. So again, anything that is like a barrier to purchase or a barrier to entry, ideally you would want to like make minimal or remove completely. But apparently either the people designing this website or Games Workshop themselves does not understand how like human psychology works. Anytime you make something more difficult or harder or more expensive, probably going to have less positive results. But that being said, we do see the new Combat Patrol Adeptus Mechanicus here, $160 for that. So unfortunately, in many ways, I would say this is a downgrade over the previous one. The other one had the Dune Crawler in it, which is pretty awesome, a nice heavy vehicle. This one is definitely like more speed oriented, and I'm not sure how it's going to play because we haven't used this one yet, but it definitely feels a little bit inferior. But one of the biggest things we've noticed having played like a ton of Combat Patrol is most armies, most of the factions are going to have at least 4 units in them, which is pretty much the bare minimum that you need. Because at any point in time, you want to be holding at least 2 objectives if you're planning on winning the game, and then probably like contesting a third. And if you only have 4 units or 3 units, if you attach a character, for instance, to like the squad right here, you're going to have a real hard time controlling 2 objectives and then trying to contest another one. So in this case, ideally, you're going to put your Manipulus with your Skitarii, and then you're just going to have your Fly Boys, your Cavalry Boys, and then your little Skitarii / Manipulus. So only 3 units. Not a fan, because you're going to have a very difficult time actually winning games. The second you lose 1 unit, you now have no more offensive capabilities to try to take from your opponent. You're now just trying to hold on. And that's just not a great strategy for winning games. So let's see how this one actually plays over time. I do plan on building and collecting all of the Combat Patrols as they are released, which should be super fun. And we do have battle reports coming. But that being said, this one definitely feels like a bit of a downgrade. Now, value-wise, what's in this box set is pretty in line with what you normally see. You basically have like $60 units times 3, so that's $180, and then you have your character, which is like $40. So you're about $220 in value for about $160, which gives you like roughly that like 30 to 35% typical Games Workshop discount. So value-wise, not a bad box set. Actual playing, and this is pure speculation because I haven't used this yet, obviously, but I don't think this is going to do very good competitively. Oh my gosh, I don't know what just happened right there, but when I hit back this time, maybe something broke, but it actually just took me back to the screen that I wanted to be at. So again, I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if Games Workshop is behind the scenes actually working on this or their designers are, but that is an awesome and amazing positive change. Let's just hope it wasn't a fluke. So moving right along here, we have the Royal Warden being released. Obviously, in my opinion, don't buy this guy straight from Games Workshop for $35. Should be able to pick him up online from somebody or from a buddy for much cheaper than that, because there are tons of them floating around from the starter sets and Indominus in the previous edition. So next we have the Overlord with the Translocation Shroud. So this dude is super cool. I absolutely love this model. Love what they're doing with the Necrons and like the teleportation, like effects and everything like that. $38 for this guy. Just an absolutely beautiful model. Awesome paint job. We see like part of him is already like phased out right here, and the way that they have actually like mounted it with these like cool effects. Just a huge fan of where Games Workshop is going with some of these designs, and like optimistic as to what's to come. Okay, so it does look like it was some kind of fluke or something like that. It was just a one-time occurrence, because here we are scrolling back down the same way. So I guess we just got lucky once. But if you can get lucky one time, maybe Games Workshop can make it so I get lucky all the times. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch, and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. All right, so let me see Orikan the Diviner. All right, so $45 for him because he is a special character. Absolutely beautiful remake of this model right here. This paint job is definitely just stunning. Love all of the little effects and everything. Very, very cool. Definitely going to be picking this bad boy up. All right, and then we have the new Imotekh the Stormlord. So again, very cool model. Definitely reminiscent of the old one. I do like the overall style and new version here. And the best part about these new remakes of like old characters is these are all coming in plastic as opposed to like the resin of the previous editions. So very, very cool. Very nice model right here. Definitely a big fan. We see like the Necron textured bases kind of coming out there. Not just your mother's tactical rock. This is that new, that good. And honestly, I'm definitely a fan. This is beautiful. Definitely going to be picking him up as well. All right, and then we have the Combat Patrol Necrons. So interesting situation right here. So the old Combat Patrol Necrons went away, which is the opposite of what we saw with like a lot of the other Combat Patrols. So like the Space Marine and the Tyranid one went away, the previous edition ones, and didn't get rules in this edition. And they immediately launched a new Tyranid and Space Marine one, which corresponded with the Leviathan box and then also the starter sets, which I think is a great idea. Unfortunately, the Space Marine one is an absolutely horrible deal. Under no circumstances should anyone ever purchase the Space Marine Combat Patrol. Either buy the starter set that contains both combat patrols and some terrain for just a couple bucks more, or buy Leviathan. But regardless, that Space Marine Combat Patrol is absolutely awesome in game terms. It is very, very good, even in the hands of an inexperienced player. But we're not here talking about the Space Marines, we're talking about the Necrons. So this one did not get a new Combat Patrol in addition to the old ones. They got rid of the old one. It had a flyer in it. It was pretty cool. Actually a nice box set and everything, but I really like this one. We haven't actually played this Combat Patrol yet, but it is next up on the cards as I'm just finishing painting up this guy. Everything else is already ready to go. So I do think this is a really good box. On paper, it looks like it's going to be a really good Combat Patrol. You have one fast moving Scarab unit and some secondaries that correspond with that. You have your Necron Warriors as well, so that's giving you a second unit. You have a third unit with your character potentially going to be attached to the Necron Warriors. You have a fourth unit in the Imotekh Destroyers, and then you have a fifth unit in your big boy heavy artillery. And this thing's gun on top is as potent as it looks. So in this case, you have 5 units to start off with, and you're probably going to put your character in with your warriors, depending on the matchup, so he doesn't just get smoked. Secondary objectives are pretty good. Stratagems are okay, but I do like the nice blend of the regenerating, the fast moving unit that's good for claiming objectives or doing your secondary objectives. You have a heavy hitter with long range, and then of course you have a nice combat threat as well. And then the Overlord kind of does it all because he has that awesome Tachyon Arrow that can literally pick up almost anything in a single shot, which is all you get, so you better make it count. And then he's also pretty potent in combat. So really nice balance right here. Not the best as far as value is concerned for multiple reasons, because at 160 bucks, it's a little bit light on like the actual retail value. I think the Necrons are like 60. I believe it's like 50 something for this guy, and then 60 for the Imotekh Destroyers. The Scarabs come with the Necron Warriors. So it's about like 200 or something like that in value, which is a little bit shy because you're basically only saving like 40 bucks. And then on top of that as well, again, these models, with the exception of the Doomstalker, you can probably pick up relatively cheap because they were in all of the starter sets from last edition, and then also the Indominus launch box. So in all reality, you should be able to pick up these for a fraction of the price and then just slap in one of these bad boys for 50 bucks and realistically get this set up for a lot less than 160. But very cool setup. Definitely looking forward to playing them, and I think this is going to be a really, really nice and balanced combat patrol. All right, and then next we got the dice right here. So 32 bucks for the Ad Mech dice. I do like them. It seems like Games Workshop has gone more back towards like the marbled, which I like. But they've also went with like the sharp corners, which are cool because you don't get as many cock dice, but they also don't roll as well. So I'm kind of torn. I think I've decided that I like the big chunky round dice, not these cornered ones. You also only get 16 dice in this set for $32, which is $2 a dice. I would rather them just have the price at 40 bucks and just give us all 20 of our dice, because 16 is just a weird number. But I get it. It's all part of the shrinkflation. The dice are only 32 bucks instead of 40 bucks. And the way they space them out right here, maybe people don't notice you're only getting 16 now instead of 20. It is what it is. Next we have the Necron dice. You know, in the actual pictures, these look better than they were because it looked like the marbled portion was like darker and it kind of like stood out better against like the fluorescent part. I don't like when you see like marbled dice and the actual like pips are close in color or like don't have a strong contrast to like the actual dice themselves. So not a big fan of these because I think they're just going to be like tough to read. And again, sharp corners, only 16 in the set, 32 bucks. No thanks. But obviously you guys know I've been on Dice Boycott for like 2 years at this point in time. And it's been a while since I said it, but in case you were wondering, the Dice Boycott does in fact continue. So we see some more of the Legions Imperialis stuff from last week. Keep scrolling down here. We see like the new Forge Roll characters and everything. So this is what I was actually looking forward to, is the Ironhead Squat Prospector Skalvian Explorator. This kit is absolutely amazing. I am a massive fan of this kit. It is beautiful. It is awesome. I would love to use it for pretty much anything, for conversions, for like my actual Leagues of Votann army, not just like in Necromunda. But obviously that's not an option. because this thing is $190. It is one of those 15 plus, Forge World / resin kits. It's very, very cool and would honestly be the best base for like tons and tons of cool conversions, not only just for Ash Waste, but for 40k as well. But $190 for this is just absolutely insane. So this to me is a massive miss, especially when you look at something like the Land Fortress costs like about $100. So this is basically like double the price, but it is slightly cooler. This was the other set that I was kind of wondering about, the Necromunda Ash Waste Outpost. So this is online only. You can't actually like get your normal discount that you would through a retail store, which in my opinion is a terrible decision on Games Workshop's part, as you're basically like intentionally cutting off the middleman, and the middleman is a lot of how people get like exposure to the hobby and actually play their games. But regardless of that, this $170 price tag is absolutely ridiculous. These things have sold horribly. You can buy the entire Ash Waste box set on the internet right now for like $160. You get multiple of these hab modules. You get a set of this as well. You get 2 full gangs. You get 2 sets of vehicles, 1 for each gang. You get the rule book. You get the dice. You get literally cards, everything you need to play for less than this price right here. I think the last time I saw it was like $156. I picked up one myself, actually a couple. And this terrain is awesome. The only difference is instead of getting the extended hab module, which just basically has this like middle part added in, you just get like multiples of this hab module right here. So for me, this is a complete miss. Definitely just go buy the Ash Waste sets on Amazon. All right, and then we have the Kill Team Approved Ops Tech Ops mission cards. So $32 for those on pre-order. And they are still in stock for now, so that's definitely a good sign. You can only buy 1 set of these, which is kind of weird because if I'm not mistaken, the way the other Tech Ops cards were, each player needs a set. So like theoretically, you would come on here and buy 2 sets if you were going to play, 1 for you and 1 for your friend, family member, arch rival, whatever. But you can't do that. You can only buy 1 set, which is interesting. All right, and then down here we got a couple of those books coming out here. Click that show more, and that's basically it. Everything else is the Legion Imperialis stuff that is basically sold out at this point in time. Super popular bases. The terrain was pretty popular. Obviously, this did extremely well. Box set sold out instantly. So lots and lots of hype behind this. And after watching a couple of the review videos and seeing some of the quality of like the actual miniatures and everything, definitely impressed by it. I think that eventually, if and when they launch this for 40k, after how well it's been received for 30k, I think it's going to do extremely well. But I mean, that could be years down the road, honestly, or maybe never. I don't know. So yeah, that is it for this week's pre-orders. Let me know what you're going to be picking up, what you're excited for. I'm going to be picking up both these codexes and then obviously working on those combat patrols, a couple of the characters for the Necrons as well to expand out our force. Did have that slight moment where it looked like Games Workshop had improved the website and you hit the back button and it took you exactly where you were, but apparently that was some kind of weird fluke. Let me know what you're going to be picking up down in the comments. Always like to hear back from you guys. Are you bummed out about that Explorator being $190? Do you love the new style of the codexes with actual different art, so you feel like you're getting something special for what you're paying for? Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. And as always, special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring this video. If you want to get these Games Workshop stuff at a discount, check out the link in the description to save 15% with free shipping in the United States. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man. And I cannot wait to get the new Necron Combat Patrol on the table. And I'm out of here.